All right. So, last night was the Iowa caucuses, just for the Republicans. I don't believe it was for the Democrats because they changed their calendar. So South Carolina, which would start, which I don't know. I figured that they would just move South Carolina up, not oh you two go first and we'll catch up at some point. But anyway, and what in news that would come as a surprise to absolutely no one, Trump won by a landslide. Specifically, he got 51% of the vote. To Ron DeSantis, which got 21.2% of the vote, and Nikki Haley got 19.1% of the vote. And the only other person who people really talked about was Vivek Ramaswamy, who got 7.7% of the vote. And nobody else got 1%. Now, there were people who voted for Chris Christie, which, I don't know. I mean, he got 35 votes. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with a caucus and how it differs from a primary, a caucus is run by the state party. So in this case, it would be the Iowa GOP, the Iowa Republicans. So, and it's more of a meeting. So people go there, sit down, and listen to representatives of candidates explaining why you should vote for them. Now, because of that, I could understand in a primary if you're, not paying even a lick of attention and just, doing your thing. I can understand that. Of course, I question why you're voting, but whatever. But since every caucus has a representative from the team, from the candidate, explaining why you should vote for them. That the fact that Chris Christie didn't have a representative should have clued you in. But 35 people voted for Chris Christie anyway. Which I guess they were like, yeah, we know that he's out of the race, but we just can't vote for any of these other people. Which, okay. I mean, that's a thing that you just don't like any of the candidates available. But there was also people who voted other, which actually got even more votes, got 84 votes, which, that's fine. I don't know who all was running. Just because we only follow, and the media only follows certain candidates, doesn't mean there's a list yay long of rinky-dink candidates that, you wonder why they're in the race. Anyway, so, as I said, the results are not surprising. That actually followed along with the polling. So, yes, if you follow average of polls, this is basically what you got. So, as far as delegates are concerned, Iowa had 40 delegates available. So, Trump got 20, DeSantis got 9, Haley got 8, and Ramaswamy got 3, which makes what I'm about to say even more surprising. The less surprising thing is that Asa Hutchinson dropped out. He dropped out this morning, which, I mean, dude, your whole shtick is being anti-Trump, which is fine. I mean, I applaud you for that. But when Chris Christie, who is a huge anti-Trumper, and I mean, he's got every reason to hate Trump with a fiery passion, the man literally tried to kill him. So, so when Chris Christie dropped out, that should have been a clue that, someone who barely gets any mention probably isn't going to get the traction you think you're going to get. I mean, maybe he figured, oh, all the Chris Christie voters will come to me. It seems like they went to Ramaswamy, actually, because Vivek did better than polling suggested. Which, again, comes as what I'm about to say, even more surprising. He dropped out last night, which shocked me. He got 3 delegates, granted, not great, but a lot of people either do well in Iowa or New Hampshire. It's a rarity that you do well in both. Now, I'm talking primaries right now. So, well, actually, Iowa leans Republican and New Hampshire leans Democrat. So that works for general too, actually. So I can understand if after New Hampshire he dropped out. If he didn't get any traction. And actually, let me look at the latest polls out of New Hampshire. Oh, come on, where are you? So, actually, a new poll came out, which I'm just seeing now. So, of the polls, Binkley isn't getting any notice whatsoever, so he hasn't dropped out yet, to my knowledge. Now, that doesn't mean he won't. He just hasn't yet, which he did not do as well as polling suggested in Iowa. And he wasn't even supposed to do well, even with the polls. So I'm surprised he's still around. Let's see. Ramaswamy, who, like I said, had just pulled out of the race, he would be getting 4.8% of the vote. Now, before I continue, there are 22 delegates that are up for grabs in New Hampshire, and it's proportional to candidates receiving 10% or more of the statewide vote. So maybe that's why he pulled out. He's like, yeah, I'm not supposed to do well in New Hampshire either. I'm supposed to actually do worse. So I'm just gonna, peace out. Which is very mature to understand that you don't have a chance in hell. So anyway, DeSantis is at 6%. So, yeah, he's not supposed to do nearly as good as he was supposed to in Iowa. Now, it's still early. The New Hampshire primary isn't till January 23rd. So there's still time for him to go to New Hampshire and to try and muster up support. That's still possible. Because obviously with Chris Christie out of the race, that did benefit all 3 candidates. It did not benefit Trump, of course, because Chris Christie is anathema to Trump. He's anti-Trump. But DeSantis, as of now, average of the polls, he's supposed to get 6% of the vote, which means he is not eligible for delegates either. Chris Christie is still at 11.3%. So if he was still in the race, he would have been eligible for delegates. And actually, he was supposed to get like 3% of the vote in Iowa. So he probably wouldn't have gotten any delegates. So I don't know if that was the reason, or if he's like, yeah, I don't see a path forward for me. It's obvious that Trump is the guy. So, and I don't think Christie's endorsed anyone because based on what he's said, I don't think he likes anybody. He doesn't like anybody at all. So, Ramaswamy, on the other hand, has endorsed Trump. So, I guess that shouldn't come as any surprise based on whom he was trying to model himself after. So, next up, we have Haley with 31.4% of the vote in the latest poll average. So, actually, the latest poll that came out, called by American Research Group, actually has Trump and Haley tied with 40%. So, Haley is got an average of 31.4%. And Trump is at 42.8%. So Trump started his latest civil trial for damages in the E. Jean Carroll case again. So, maybe slowly people are going to turn away from Trump. Or maybe, since he's got another trial going on, maybe he can, make a meal out of that and get more support. Who knows? Like I said, it's not till January 23rd, so a lot can still happen. But yeah, I found that interesting that it's going to be Haley who's going to do well in New Hampshire. And just as an aside, Haley made a joke. And Ron DeSantis jumped on that joke as if she seriously thought little of Iowa or anything. She just understands that the past few presidential elections, or even primary elections, Iowa did not pick the eventual winner. So, so she was having some fun with that. Big deal. But it is Ron DeSantis, so. Anyway, let me see if there's anything else about the polls I wanted to talk about before I left you guys. Let's see here. Nope. Let's see. Let me show you. I have a map of the general election. Let me just make sure that there's no update to those polls before I show you my map. Come on. Why? Unless, of course, 270 to win wants to be really annoying and not update. Okay, let's see here. I don't think any changes have been made. Nope. No changes have been made, so I'm going to turn you around for a second, so you can see what's happening. So let me... Oh, come on, where are you? So as you can see, I'm not doing toss-ups. So Trump is currently leading 283 to 255, which means that he will be the next president. Help us, God. So Pennsylvania was the latest state to, it's still considered a toss-up state, but it went from Trump toss-up to Biden toss-up. So I'm giving it to Biden right now. He was at 302. So this is the current map as it stands on polling averages between Biden and Trump. Sorry. Almost dropped my phone. Almost dropped you guys. So, as you can see, Biden has a lot of work cut out for him. There's a lot of states where Trump seems to be safe. So, that's not good. That scares me so much. And I did see reports that, at least in one county, in one Iowa county, there were a lot of independent voters and Democratic voters who filled out the paperwork to change their party's affiliation so they could caucus with the Republicans, which, based on the numbers, I'm gonna say that it didn't help. If I should say, if they were doing that to screw with the Republican caucus, which some Democrats do, it's like, oh yeah, Biden's got it in the bag, so let's screw with the Republicans. If that were the case, they did a very, very bad job. So I have the sinking suspicion. I've got the sneaky suspicion and sinking suspicion that they were changing party affiliation so they could caucus for Trump. So yeah, like I said, not a good look at all. And I hope that the rest of the world is, watching carefully, because I'm sure that a lot of them are looking on with dread at the thought of Trump being reelected, because I don't know. I mean, it would be great if the insurrection trial were to start and hopefully end before voting started. That would be great. But with all the shenanigans that's been going on, and probably Trump's lawyers are getting fed up that, he's not doing stuff like paying them, and who knows what else is happening in Trump's orbit, that I'm very worried that these trials will not be done by the election. I mean, I would hope that once the trial is done, that he would become ineligible, that even if he were to gain office, that, he would have to forfeit. And then I don't know. Whoever ran as his vice president would probably become president then. And at this point, I'm pretty sure it's going to be someone who is a puppet for Trump and is just as horrible as Trump. Or one of the two. Maybe that he's horrible on his own, or he's just willing to do what Trump says. A total yes man or yes woman. Now, hopefully, things will work out and Biden will win and we won't have to worry about things like that. But as of now, I know it's early. We just had the first caucus, so who knows what's going to happen. Maybe as the primary season goes on, maybe more and more people are going to say, you know what, I love Trump, but he cannot beat Biden. If for no other reason, because he has all these indictments, all these trials, and whether you think that it's trumped up or not, the charges, if he goes to jail for starting an insurrection, which he should, then he's literally ineligible. Even though there are some people who are trying to split hairs about what the Constitution says about that. That's just Congress and not the president, because he's not an officer of the government or something. But anyway, I'm starting to ramble, but with that is the latest I have on what's happening in the election. And I will be back with you probably January 24th. Whenever results of the New Hampshire election and all the delegates have been doled out, then I will come back on and go over the New Hampshire primary with you guys, which I believe the New Hampshire primary is both for Democrats and Republicans. The New Hampshire Democratic Party were butthurt over the fact that South Carolina was deemed first on the calendar. So they've decided to say nee and hold the Democratic primary anyway. So I think, I'm not positive, but I think that means that Biden is on the ballot. I heard rumors that Biden was not, in fact, on the ballot. So I'm going to say this means he is, because I'm looking at the polls right now. And he's averaging 55.6%, so that should be safe. All right. So I believe with that, I will see you guys in the next video.